Hello and welcome to Lazio World. Consider this your stoppage time. We have just witnessed a difficult match. So difficult, in fact, that Sean decided to not even cover the match because it was so abysmal. No, that's a joke. Sean is away on work duty, so it will just be me today to break down this really undesirable game to talk about. We're going to go over just a little bit about what happened, our man of the match, been on the match, and looking ahead a little bit to Milan. It will be a brief episode as it's just me, but let's just go ahead and get started here with how the match sort of went. It was a difficult first 15 minutes, particularly. Udinese came out with some absolute heat from the very start. They were pressing us. They looked just so much more hungry than Lazio did to come out. And once again, we're seeing sort of a slow start from our boys. We conceded early into the game, just like the last game against Venezia. In this particular game, we conceded the first goal in the 5th minute, which is hopefully not going to be a trend under Baroni, but already out of the gates, you have a super motivated, hardworking Udinese. You reward them with a goal, a soft goal at that. Casale maybe gets a little bit confused because he sees the linesman say it's offside. Maybe he sort of loses focus a bit, not sure what happened there. However, it was a soft goal to concede. An excellent header, to be fair, on the from Luca, who put that in, the tall striker. And right at the gate, Udinese are up 1-0. They already came out with a lot of energy. Now they have even more energy, even more momentum. Lazio did manage to sort of chill things down, take control a little bit more after about the 20th minute, and started to really hammer some pressure on Udinese. However, I think the story of the match was A, soft goals conceded, and B, just not sharp enough in the final third because Lazio were getting in the final third. Lazio did have opportunities to score, um, and we have put the pressure on Udinese for a lot of the match. However, all that work was undone when early, once again, in the second half, we conceded another early goal within 5 minutes, again, this time coming from Tauvin, who quite literally just walked through the entire Lazio team. Just as a gift. It was just a complete a disaster, really. I mean, it was unacceptable the way that we defended that play. That play was much more infuriating than the first goal we conceded because on this one there were several people who could have stepped in, put a body in, pulled down Tauvin to get a foul, whatever it was. But Guendouzi puts in a bad little pass and tries to get a tactical foul, doesn't do enough. Tauvin keeps going. Romagnoli tries to intercept him. He gets beat, but neither Patrick or anyone else came in to help, support, or close down that space. And Tauvin maybe scores one of his easiest goals of his life, really, with how simple he was able to walk through the whole defense. So yeah, two really bad goals to concede. Do Udinese score? If they don't get gifted these goals, maybe. However, Lazio really made things difficult for themselves um, by allowing that to happen. Even though things weren't going great for Lazio on the attacking front, at the very least, you expect under someone like Baroni, who's been known to have defensively sound teams, to be difficult to break down. And today we looked far too easy to break down. It only took Udinese three shots to score two goals. They were clinical, whereas Lazio themselves had a total of let me see here, a total of 17 shots, only 5 on target, with an expected goals of 1.37 compared to Udinese's zero point 0.8. Udinese had 2 goals, and we had one, who came by way of Isaacson from a cross from, I believe, um, Lazzari was one who made the cross. And then there's a little bit of chaos, but it reached all the way up to Tati Castellanos. Tati took a shot. It was a good shot, good power. Keeper couldn't hold it, couldn't control the parry afterwards. Isaacson was there to clean up, but at that point, it was far too late. It was about the 94th minute, and Lazio lose their second game 2-1. So, uh, quick reactions on that match. Again, it came down to just poor defending, particularly lapses. There was some organizational and structural issues when it comes to the team this match. They the center backs were caught in place. Sometimes the center mids and the wingers would be a little bit weird. Yeah, it was just off. There was from the very beginning, Lazio just looked a little bit off, and they did get better and improve as the game went on. However, that second goal at the start of the second half really killed any sort of momentum that we had going into that half. And could have been a different game if we didn't concede that second goal. I think so. I do think Lazio would have been able to get a goal in that second half to tie it up and maybe go for the winner. They did get a little bit of an opportunity when Udinese were handed a red card uh, in around the 70th minute. So the team had about 20 minutes to break them down, but just couldn't do it. Um, they I will go ahead and start with the positives here, which is the man of the match. For man of the match, really, I think many of our players struggled today. There weren't really too many bright spots, but I would say some candidates for the man of the match were Tati Castellanos, Zaccagni, and in Noson were pretty much non-existent for most of the part. Zaccagni did have a few little shots here and there, but I think Tati was the only one really threatening consistently in the attack. It looked like if we were going to score, if we were going to create something, it was going to have to come from him. I think Lazzari has a strong case to also be a man of the match in this game because pretty much all of our attacks came from him. Generally, we give him crap for not putting in good passes and just being poor in that final delivery. But I actually thought he had one of his better games when it came to actual ball delivery and and precision on his crosses, which our players couldn't take advantage of, Tati included. So for me personally, I'm gonna have to go with Lazzari, and I'm doing this because Lazzari. It seemed that every single time we had the ball, he was in the conversation. He was the one putting it in. He was the one making the run to get it. He was constantly overlapping. He didn't stop all game long, and for that reason, I'll give it to Lazzari. Not much to talk about the man of the match because it was pretty poor all the way around, but Lazzari was definitely was one of the better players on the pitch today. Much more to talk about is the Bedone of the match, who I believed was there were several candidates for. Some candidates that come quickly to mind were Noslin, Guendouzi, Casale. I think we're all probably the three major candidates to, and you could even argue Romagnoli at times too, because Romagnoli definitely got beat way too easily. But for me personally, this is a difficult one because even though Casale was directly at fault for the goal there, I do believe that it was more so the collective performance of the team that cost us the game, despite some of those individual mistakes. But I'm going to give my Bedone of the match to Noslan. And my reasoning behind that is because, yes, we scored a soft goal, conceded a soft goal early on. I was also in the second half. However, when we were getting back into the game, when we were building momentum, when we were starting to, put some pressure on Udinese, it seemed that anytime Nelson touched the ball, it killed the attack. Particularly his passing was poor today. He was just all his passes were loose, whether they were 5-yard pass or a 10-yard pass. It seemed that Noslin was off today. He looked so unplayable, so incredibly threatening, dangerous, sharp in against Venezia. But Noslin was particularly bad today in the attack, and I would argue that defensively we really didn't concede too much, believe it or not. When apart from those two soft goals, I would argue that Udinese really didn't threaten all that much other than that. We had much more of the ball in their half, in their part of the field, in their final third there. I thought for me the main issue was, okay, you know what? We conceded an early goal, but we can get one back. And we were in a position to do so. And at that point, it comes down to your attackers, your attacking midfielders. And I believe Nelson single-handedly really just interrupted and threatened our ability to score anything. He was, really, really bad today. I was shocked. I'm not really sure what it was. It's still a second game for Lazio. I don't know if he's tired. I don't know what it was, but Nelson was very, very off today. I do want to talk a bit about Baroni as well. I know some people here in the chat, if you're watching on YouTube or live, Patrick, and have mentioned Baroni as being sort of a big bidone of this match. And Baroni definitely has some weird decisions to begin with at the start of the game. No Rovella, which is interesting. I don't personally think, and my co-host Sean may argue with me on that, but I don't personally think that cost us the game, not starting Rovella. Um, because if anything, I thought Vecino was our best midfielder today, to be frank. And what came was one of the players that came closest to scoring for us today, funny enough, which is also sad. Um, but Baroni did have some weird decisions. The first one was it was a little too safe at times. We're down 2-0. You would think he would want to be a little more aggressive. Yes, he did sub on Dia for Bashiru, which is an attacking midfielder for a striker, and they had Tati and him up top, which I like to see that. But the other attacking substitutes came on a little bit too late, and I thought were a bit bizarre. Patrick came on in the second half, which was, I mean, yeah, Casale had that mistake, but I don't know if it warranted taking him off, particularly when you still have a team like Udinese that have tall attackers. It seems that even though Patrick, is probably a better player, I think Casale could still be a little more handy when it came to the aerial threat that they possessed. They didn't have many attacks, so my guess is Patrick came in because we were holding most of the ball, and we needed a center back that was a little better in possession. So that is my assumption on why Patrick came in, not because Casale made the mistake, but more so, hey, we're going to dominate the ball, so let's get a more ball playing center back to build out of the back. So that's why I think Patrick came in to begin with. Later on, Dia and Isaksen came on for Noslin and Bashiru, which was yeah, which was perfectly acceptable. I think. I also think that Nelson could have come off earlier. I thought I would have taken Nelson off at the half. But I get playing him, another 10 minutes. Give him a shot. You don't want to kill his complete confidence here. And so Isaksen came in, a big opportunity for Isaksen because Isaksen, there's a lot of doubt around him. He's kind of the odd man out when it comes to the attackers. There's a lot of depth now within these winger and forward positions. Isaksen's not been too great in the things that we've seen recently in the matches preseason. But Isaksen had a big opportunity today. And Dia made his debut for the club. Just a quick analysis of them too. I personally thought Dia was pretty good. He has some good hold up, has some great little flicks to set up other players in the attack, that set up some shots and stuff. I like him because he does bring a completely different type of profile to the attack. Isaksen got the goal. He was sharp and aware to be in that position when Tati scored. So kudos to him. His overall performance, though, I didn't really think it was anything special. In fact, I actually thought if I would give him a grade, it was more below average than anything. I thought that he held on to the ball too long at times. Um, he doesn't seem to be as aggressive taking players on 1v1. I don't know if that's instruction. I don't know, but last year, I remember we were thinking this is the only guy who's really taking it to players and defenders. Today, didn't really see much of that, and when he did so, it just wasn't all that effective. Not sure what's there. And then lastly, okay, the 70th minute comes around. I think this is where a lot of fans had issues, and it was we had the red card, right? Udinese were handed a red card. We had 20 minutes, a little over 20 minutes to find an equalizer or to find our first goal, to make a comeback and get something, to salvage something in this match. And it isn't until the 82nd minute, 12 minutes after the red card's handed or distributed, that Shauna, who I was clamoring to put on earlier, much earlier, and then Hisai, which was really, really odd for me to put in another fullback. I personally would have liked to have maybe seen take off one midfielder like a Vecino Guendouzi and put in Shauna, right? And then take off one fullback for perhaps another threat up top. I'm not really sure, but unfortunately, this was a match that didn't see Pellegrini, didn't see Tavares, didn't see Castrovilli, and I thought that if you want to have a little more balance, take out Guendouzi, put in Castrovilli, for example, who's an attacking midfielder. And no, instead we opted to put on his side, which just made no sense. And if you are going to put in a fullback, put in Tavares, who is more attacking minded fullback that we have on the bench. But at the end of the day, I do think a lot of this game was lost strictly when it came to the fight, to the tenacity, to the resilience of the team. Udinese seemed from the start to want it so much more. They seem to have been much hungrier throughout the match, even though they didn't have the ball. They looked and felt like, no, like we're in control of this. Like you're gonna have to really earn this. Whereas Lazio came out soft. They came out sort of timid. They came out almost looking tired. I mean, they looked tired to me from the minute one. I'm not sure that was a factor. I'm not sure playing on the road was a factor in that energy that they came out with. But we did see a little bit of that energy in spurts afterwards. But you can't start a match with that sort of energy and fight, because especially when you're on the road and your opponent can use the fandom behind them to build momentum. You cannot allow a team like Udinese or any team on the road to outwork you, outfight you that early in the game, because it's going to build momentum in their favor. And guess what? We conceded because of it. However, that is it for me today. Not much to talk about this game. Big match next against Milan. Milan are also coming off some pretty horrid results here. I believe they've drawn the first match and they lost the second one here against Parma, and things are looking pretty rough on that side too. So it's gonna be a really interesting game. However, this match will be played in Stadio Olimpico back at home, and so Lazio had a great game against Venezia. However, this is a different caliber of team. This would be by far the most difficult team we've played so far this year. Hopefully, we use the fans, the players, find some energy, find some fight to really start strong in that match, because I think a strong start, not conceding early, is going to be particularly crucial against Milan, who are looking really quite shaky right now and unimpressive, not dangerous. As long as we're defensively sound, we have a little bit more fluidity and that final touch in the final third, I think we can be in good shape against Milan. But hey, it's anyone's game right now. Like Serie A is looking super open right now. It's been really fun and entertaining across the league. I would love to have seen us real lost opportunity here for Lazio to, start off the season with 6 points. Get a little head start to compared to the other sides in the league right now, particularly the top six sides. But that's it for now. Regardless, if we win, we lose, we have a terrible performance like this, we will always be here to cover the team and support it. So, as always,